Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel, that is the Brainy and Funny Medico, and this is the part 3 of orientation to MBBS. So you should go and check out the part 2 and part 1 as well. So basically in this video we will be discussing about the books that are required for the subjects of first year MBBS. Actually there is a lot of confusion going out with the students regarding which books to buy or which not to buy, or which books to study and which ones not. So let's get started. As I've already told you people that there are 4 main subdivisions of anatomy, that is gross anatomy, histology, embryology and general anatomy. So now we will be discussing their books one by one. Here is first of all gross anatomy. So there are 4 well-known books for gross anatomy. The first one of which is Clinical Oriented Anatomy by Guyton, that is KLM, and it is the most famous and most important book for gross anatomy. It is recommended by UHS, so you should have it. While the other second book of anatomy is PD Chaurassia's Human Anatomy. Volume 1 and 2 is for first year MBBS, while volume 3 and 4 are for second year MBBS. Now there are 2 ways to study gross anatomy. Some of the people like using PD Chaurasia as their main book because it is overall a simpler book. It is more easier to study because it consists of all those headings and smaller figures, smaller chapters. It doesn't have all that dull and dry, long and lengthy paragraphs in it. So some people might be using KLM as well, but those who study BD Chaurasia as their main book throughout the year, they usually don't study KLM. But if you are using BD Chaurasia as your main book, then I would suggest that you should have KLM as a PDF in your phones or laptops, maybe tablets, because you not need to buy all of the books. Speaking of which, there are 2 types of the books according to their prints. The ones with the original good quality, thicker and softer pages are the original books, while on the other hand, the books which have a little bit more rough and thinner pages are a little low quality pages in it, but they are same in context in terms of diagrams or figures or whatever the contents. It is just like the original book, pirated one, So the pirated and original books are same in almost every aspect other than their quality. And as you might know that the medical books are a bit too expensive. For many people they might be very expensive. So what I do or suggest to most of the medical students is that they should buy the pirated ones because they are cheaper than the ones that are original, but they are the same books but with a little bit of thinner and more rough pages. But that doesn't matter. What matters and counts is that how you study that book and what you learn out of it. So if you want to go according to your budget and want to buy a little less expensive books, then I think you should go with the pirated ones. So also, if you have one book that is considered your main book, so then you should try to get the others one in the PDF forms. Having ebooks is also very beneficial. So now coming back to the books for gross anatomy, if you study BD then it's totally cool, but you should also give KLM a try. And if you completely understand KLM and I like studying from it, then you should, I think, go with the KLM first. So KLM and BD Chaurasia are the main books for gross anatomy. Now coming towards Netter's Atlas. The atlas is basically full of diagrams and figures so that you can have a visualization of what you are studying. It has many diagrams related to the different body organs, parts, showing different muscles, arteries, nerves, So having an atlas is truly essential and necessary, so you should buy a Netter's atlas, and the Netter's atlas should be preferably the original one and not the pirated one, because if you get a pirated one, the quality of the diagrams and print might be compromised. And the last one is BRS Anatomy. It is a good source for multiple choice questions, that is MCQs, but it is not that important to buy it. So now we will be heading towards histology. The medical histology textbook and atlas by Laik Hussain is the recommended book for histology, and you ought to buy it. Then the Diaphor's Atlas of Histology. It is again an atlas for the different tissue diagrams and slide diagrams for histology, but I don't think that you need to buy it. You can get a PDF copy for it and go through it there. For embryology, there are basically two books. The first one is Developing Human Clinically Oriented Embryology by KLM, and the other one is Langman's Medical Embryology. So the KLM for embryology is basically the UHS recommended book, but it actually varies from college to college or even teachers to teachers, because some colleges might be telling students to do embryology from Langman, and it is also a very good book for embryology. I've personally used it. So if you are using Langman's for embryology or whether KLM, it might not make that a difference. But if you can study from KLM embryology, then I think you should go with the KLM one. So the other one would be the book for general anatomy. There are basically two books that are available and common for general anatomy. The first one would be General Anatomy by Laik Hussain, and the other one would be General Anatomy by Tasadduq Hussain. So it is also depending upon the college and teachers. Some colleges might be teaching General Anatomy by Laik Hussain, and the others might be using Tasadduq Hussain as their main book. I've personally used Laik Hussain, and it is a very good book. What I recommend is General Anatomy by Laik Hussain, but it's totally cool and okay if your college asks you to buy General Anatomy by Tasadduq Hussain. Also, there are some MCQs as exercises at the end of Tasadduq Hussain book, so that's a plus point for General Anatomy by Tasadduq Hussain. For physiology, the main book should be Textbook of Physiology by Guyton and Hall. It is the most common and most important book for physiology around the world. Another book for physiology is Review of Medical Physiology by William F. Ganong. Ganong is also a very, very good book, but Guyton and Hall is, I guess, more common and used worldwide. Well, you should buy Guyton and Hall and study physiology from there, but you should also have a PDF copy of Ganong, because there are many points or topics that might not be in Guyton and you have to do them from Ganong. Also, when you are a medical student, you want your knowledge and information on a certain topic to be the most that you can retain, and research is also needed. You should go through different books, different authors. You should learn from every place that you can. So I think you should cover a topic from different books or several books. So you should have a PDF copy of Ganong. Now, these are some handbooks and short books for physiology. So, here's a little bit difference between these two. Handbooks are basically those books that help you get a complete coverage of a particular topic. These have, extended information and knowledge on all the topics, and these are also very good books, but these are not those recommended by the UHS or medical boards. So you can refer to these books, you can learn from these, but these are not the main books, or you should not rely on them entirely. And the short books are those that make the context easy for you, make the context shorter for you, and many students use these short books during their prof, or during their test sessions. These books are, I'm not saying bad, but these are not recommended, and you should cover a topic with proper and complete detail first, and then you can also go through the short books when you are giving it a read, or giving it a revision. But you should give the topic a read from the main book, like Guyton and Hall or Ganong first, then you should go to the short books. So the handbooks include BRS for physiology and medical physiology by Dr. Mushtaq. It also has volumes, volume 1 and 2. You can use these books, but remember that these are handbooks, not the main books. And the short books include Firdaus, that is, I guess, the most common one here in Pakistan, and the mini Guyton. I have mini Guyton, and I also use it for certain topics while I'm preparing for a test or for an exam. I've not personally used Firdaus, so I cannot say something about it, but mini Guyton is good. But here also you need to be very vigilant, and you need to first look through the context and material of both the books. There are some topics that are cut short to a very less extent in mini Guyton, and this very is in a negative connotation. I mean that they have also omitted some of the basic and important information from the main book. So you need to see that whether the short books are providing you with at least the basic and main important points or not. BRS and these handbooks might be more helpful at the postgraduate levels, but at graduate level you should, I think, stick to the main books first. So now at last we will discuss about the books for biochemistry. Lippincott Illustrated Reviews of Biochemistry is the main and UHS recommended, quite commonly used book for biochemistry. You have to buy it. The other one is Harper's Illustration of Biochemistry. It is also a very useful and great book used around the world. You can buy it. I have a copy of Harper Illustration, and if you think that you need it and you should buy it, then go for it. But if you are sticking to Lippincott and you think that you don't need Harper, you can have a PDF copy for it. But there are many topics or even a few chapters that are to be done from Harper, so I think it's better to buy a Harper. And also, if you want to get more views or knowledge or information on a certain topic, I think you should consider both books and refer to both of them. There are some other books for biochemistry as well. For example, Biochemistry by Mushtaq Ahmad, Mark's Illustration of Biochemistry, and Textbook of Biochemistry by Chatterjee. I haven't used Mark's and Biochemistry by Chatterjee personally. I have Mushtaq Ahmad, so it's a good book, but you cannot completely rely on it. You can do a few lesser important topics that are not there in the main books from here, but you can get them photocopied, or you can get a PDF copy if you think you might need it, but you can go without buying it too.